Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning into my video, for watching my channel. To all my new subscribers, I thank you so much. For those of you that share my video, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. For those of you that reach out to me in the thread, the comments and emails, I'm truly thankful for you guys. This video is going to be relatively short, and it's just something that's just been on my mind. And I've done a video just talking about how many years, I have spent just living for myself. And I'm just so thankful to the Lord for saving me and giving me a chance, because at any time during those years that I was just living for myself and acknowledging God as God, but I was not serving Him. At any given moment, I could have lost my life. At any given moment, it could have been the last breath in my body, and I would have been in eternal damnation because I was not living for the Lord. It's been the last few years, last 3 or so years, that the Lord has called me back to Him, and I've been answering the call and has been doing His perfect will. I have been honored and so happy that He chose me and all the things that He's poured into me. And I go very hard for Him because He pours in a lot in me. He pours a lot into me, and I therefore pour out to you guys, because the hour is far spent. There's nothing that I force and have to think of what I'm going to do. It's literally the Lord just tells me what to talk about, and I'm getting it out there, and I'm doing it in the time frame that He tells me to do it, because there is an urgency in this hour, guys. And so I was thinking about how many years I was alive and just doing what I want to do versus the amount of years now I've been serving the Lord. And I just want to share something with you guys that I feel will debunk a lot of what people are saying. And it's not that this video is about debunking anything, because personally, I just don't care. I mean, people can think whatever they want to think about me, or believers. It doesn't matter, because God already told us that people are going to mock us and talk about us. So it does not matter if people think I'm doing too much, or if they, and you shouldn't let that get to you. And I understand that may take some time for you to be able to let it roll off your back, but that's the attitude we need to have. But there's something I want to show you guys. And as I was listening to another video from my brother from Deliverance and Breakthrough Ministries, Pastor Lamont, I was listening to a video that he did, and he was talking about repentance and time. And he was just talking about all the many hours and days that we've been alive. And I got very curious, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to calculate how many hours and days that I've been alive. And lo and behold, they actually have basically could be an app, but I just pulled it up on my computer. And it's called calculateme.com, and I'll pin it for you guys. And so, guys, what I put in was from my birth. I am in my 40s. That's all I'm going to tell you. But since my birth, I put in the amount, the years that I've been alive, and it breaks it down into hours and days. And so from the time I was alive, from birth to present, I have lived 411,993.54 hours. From birth till now, I have lived 411,993.54 hours. Before salvation, and this is how I calculated it. I will say from about 15, but it's probably more than that. So from 15 to the time I got to know the Lord, which would have been probably about 29 years or something like that. So before salvation, I spent a minimum of 280,320 hours. I'm sorry, let me correct that, because I calculated with 29 years of just sinning, okay, from the age of 15, accountability, that type of thing, but it's probably more. Before salvation, I was sinning a minimum of 254,208.78 hours. Since birth, I have lived from birth to present, from the time I was born till now, I have lived 411,993.54 hours. And the hours, they rounded up to like 8 or something like that. Before salvation, I counted from around a ballpark of when I would believe I will be accountable. I say from 15, but it has to be way before that. So we can add more to this number. Before salvation, from the age of accountability, and from the time I was sinning before Christ, I was sinning for 254,208.78 hours. That's almost half my life. That's a little over half. Since salvation, okay, it's been the last 3 years where the Lord just snatched me up 3 to 4 years. I have been serving the Lord for 17,166.398 days. Okay? Hold on. Correction. I was wondering, I was like, what did I do? So since salvation, for the last 4 years, I have been serving the Lord for 26,297.46 hours. How contrasting is that? From birth, I have been alive. From birth to present, I've been alive for 411,993.54 hours. Before salvation, I spent at least, but it's definitely more, a little more than that. I've spent 200, and out of those 411,000 plus hours, I spent 254,208.78 hours living in sin. And since salvation, meaning I haven't wavered and left the Lord, going hard for God for the last 3+ years, I have spent 26,297.46 hours serving the Lord. Look how long I've been alive. Look how many years at the age of accountability that I spent sinning and living for me. And the hours now just coming around. The Lord gave me a chance. And now I'm serving the Lord 26,000, a little over 26,000 hours. Now let's go to how many days I've been alive. Days alive since my birth. Days alive since birth. Okay, days and hours are two different things. So since my birth, I've been alive for 17,166.398 days. Since my birth to present, I've been alive 17,166.398 days. Before salvation, from the age of accountability, roughly 29 years, I spent time doing what I want to do. And out of the 17,000 hours that the 17,000 days, 17,000 plus days that I have been on this planet, 10,592.0 033 days were spent living in sin and doing what I want. Since salvation, just 3+ years that I have been steady with the Lord, I have served him in days 1,095.7275 days. Since my birth, I have been alive for 17,166.398 days. Before salvation, at a minimum, probably more, I have spent, out of the 17,000 plus days, I spent 10,592.033 days living without God. Since salvation, I have spent, now truly, when I say salvation, guys, I'm not talking about, when we got saved and we're going back and forth, or you lived in fornication. I'm talking about the times that you've locked in and you are going for God and you stayed. I'm not talking about you were saved when you were 9, but then you were doing all the stuff. Because there's a lot of people that do that. I'm talking about, because this is important so you can see the big picture and take this seriously. You can see the time that you were like, I am serving you, Lord, and I'm staying with you. And I'm not going nowhere. Come what may. This happened to me. I'm going on 4 years with that. Steady with the Lord. Going hard for God. Being used for his glory. With 3+ years, it's been 1,095.7275 days exactly. Compared to how long I've been alive, and compared to when I finally got around to serving the Lord, my brothers and sisters, there's no way anybody's going to be able to tell me that I'm doing too much for God. Because when you calculate your life and you calculate how much time is spent, you've been alive on the planet, how many years you've spent doing your own thing, compared to when now that God's pulled you out and you're going hard for him, there's no such thing as doing too much for the Lord. Because truly, if we really check it out, we didn't have any problems when we were doing, there's no such thing as I was doing too much for Satan. And even though that's not how we think about it, no one is sinning so, I'm sinning for Satan. But this is the reality. The time that was spent in darkness and sin. We played in the devil's, we were just playing in traffic all that time. And the Lord protected us. And he kept us. And he saved our soul. In all those days and in all those hours that I've been alive, countless souls were snatched up and dropped into the pit of hell. Yet the Lord continued to preserve me and to protect me and to shield me and to guide me. In all those 411,000 days, the Lord, since now I've been alive, the Lord has had his hand on me. In all those 254,208.78 hours that I was alive, the Lord gave me grace and mercy all those hours. And correction, what I said in the beginning, 411,993.54 hours that I have been alive, the Lord kept me. And when I reached accountability, I was sinning and doing my own thing for 254,208.78 hours. And the Lord still kept me all that time. All the days that I've been alive, all those 17,000 plus days I have been alive to present, the Lord has kept me. And even though when I wasn't serving him, even though I spent over 10,592.033 of my days sinning and doing what I wanted to do and living for me and exploring myself and who God is and all these different things, he kept me. And guys, I'm not here punching numbers to toot my horn, or because ain't no horn to toot. It's giving you the reality. This gave me the reality, a starking reality. It's like a bucket of cold water to see how long God has been forgiving me and protecting me and bringing me to this place. And there's no way, it can never be that I'm not doing enough or I'm doing too much for God. Because if you do this, you go to calculateme.com and you put in the years that you've been alive, it will convert the years alive on this earth to hours, and it also can be converted to days as well as hours. And then I just did an estimate from the time I was like 15 years old, which it should have been more, but I just did that, 15 years old, to the amount of years I was sinning. So from 15 on, or the year, if you know exactly when you really start showing out, think of that year to the time you got to know the Lord, how many years that was and what you were doing in between. You count those years. So if between the age of 15 and finally at 30 years old, you got it right, then you know you spent like 15 years lost. And so you put in 15 years, and it's going to break it down in hours and in days for you. And you see the frightening reality of how long we've been out there playing in traffic. The danger. And how many people died was dropping by the seconds. Guys, people die every second. And the Lord still gave you grace. And if you don't know the Lord, think of and calculate how many years and how many hours you are spending right now, how long you've been alive on a whole. Put in your age now. You're going to see how long you've been on this planet and how many years and hours you've been spending doing what you want to do. And if that don't bring a reality check to you and encourage you to get it right with God, I don't know what will. Because this gave me a greater appreciation, and my throat is still so tight, feeling so emotional about what God has done. And so when people are sitting and telling you, you're too holy, you're too righteous, you always talk about God, you're too this, you're too that, you're doing too much. How can we really be doing too much? Is God not justified when he says, depart from me? And are we not deserving of his grace? Are we not undeserving of his grace and his mercy if we really look on paper what we've been doing? You see, a lot of times we don't look at the fine print, and we're not looking at the reality of what we are truly doing and how we are living and how much grace and mercy God has given to us. And it's easy to maybe feel like, oh, maybe I am doing too much. But when you break it down like this, no. Because a lot of times the people that's saying that to you, if they do this, the breakdown of how long they've been living and how long they've been doing stuff, they will see that they've been living a little bit foul. And they will see that many hours have been spent, endless hours have been spent doing things for the enemy, doing things for the devil, living for themselves. They can binge watch stuff on Netflix. They can binge watch CNN. They can binge watch BBC News. They can binge watch, sit there and watch ESPN Sports. They can sit there and watch the cricket match. They can sit there and spend hours on end. It's not too much to work out. They'll spend hours at the gym. They are gym rats. It's like a little community in there. Hours and years lying and stealing and sleeping around and doing all these different things and hopping out of bed with other people and stealing and lying and embezzling and coming up with Ponzi schemes and all types of stuff and covering up things. How many hours are spent doing that? Stealing money out the church. How many hours has been spent and days spent doing that? So how could you possibly? Glory to God, the Lord gave me another one. How many hours people take detailing their cars, cleaning out their cars? How many hours are spent cleaning those rims, updating and customizing? How many hours are spent on the internet? How many hours are spent playing video games? Just browsing the internet. So how can it be too much to serve God? Guys, open your eyes and realize the grace and mercy that God gives. You know, people talk about, oh, I can't believe the Lord will throw people in hell. What kind of God would do that? The same God that's been giving you all these hours to get it together and keeping you. And that's why people get more and more bold with their mouth and the things that they say, because of God's grace and mercy. God's not going to let you burn in eternity. You will live. You're a soul. When you leave the body, you're just you. You cannot die. You're eternal. So your punishment, you won't die. You can't die. You're a soul. Your body will die, but who you are on the inside, you go somewhere else. And so if you lived your life as a hellion and doing all types of different things, that is your nature at the core of your soul. You can't enter into heaven like that. You are still, if you were living as a liar, you're going to be a lying soul. Except now you have all this ability. You can't enter into the kingdom of heaven like that. So there's only one place to go. If God lets you in, you'll try to do what Satan did, but you can't, because you're not that fantastic, because you're not created
not good
that
fantastic
way. But what I'm saying, you still have enough to cause problems, because you're a living soul that lived with anger and lust. You'll be an angry, lustful soul that cannot enter in. You'll still be an angry, defiant soul. The way you can ignore God now, the way these individuals, I got to say two parts, you or these individuals, to who it applies to, you and those individuals, they spend time cursing God. They spend time getting angry with God. They spend time being indifferent to God. They have no connection to God. When you get out as a soul, all those things are even more, that's who you are at the core. So you can't enter in because you don't have reverence for God. You've never had love for God. You were always indifferent. You were always compartmentalized. These individuals were indifferent and compartmentalized, so they can't enter in. So a lot of times people, and this is a manipulating spirit, will talk about, oh, what kind of God? What kind of person are you to think that you can disrespect God? What kind of people were we to think we can live however we want to live and do what we want to do in the eyes of a sovereign God? And the word of God says, can the potter say to the clay, why did you make me this way?
Correction. Clay to the
Can
potter.
the potter say, oh, you did? Can the clay say to the creator, you did this wrong? And that's the problem, the insolence to say, oh, what kind of God? Will the sun obey your commands? Do you know where the hell is stored? Can you put your hand down in the bottom of the deep oceans and cause Leviathan to yield in your hand? You can't do any of those things. So why would these individuals, whether it's you or another person, will think this way? What kind of God? That's why those type of people that speak like that way, they will be exiting left and hearing depart from me, because that reverence and the respect is not there. CalculateMe.com. I will pin it. Put in how many years you've been alive and see how long you've been living and doing your thing. And calculate how many years you spent just living for yourself. Just do a ballpark. You may not need to know all. But you know, at least I've been living for myself 10 years. Or how many years you were in sin. How many years were you not serving God? Not when you got saved, but how many years did you spend? There's people who get saved and they're not living for God. They're in and out. They're doing whatever they want to do. These are realities, guys. These things, these things that people create. It's fascinating. They thought it was a great idea, and it is. But it's also a great eye-opener for us. I pray that this moves you in some way. It's up to you. But at least I've shown it and revealed it to you all. Thank you guys for listening, and God bless.